Welcome to Tibet This Week, where we bring you a weekly news edition on His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tibet, and the Central Tibetan Administration. These are the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama extend birthday wishes to Narendra Modi. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration's leadership wish Nepal's Interim Prime Minister success in meeting immediate challenges. Speaker Khembusnam Tembe congratulates newly elected Vice President of India. His Holiness the Dalai Lama grants audience to senior RSS leaders. Kashag hosts dinner reception. 10th session of the 17th Tibetan Parliament in Exile concludes. United Nations writes to China expressing concerns on critical human rights situation in Tibet. Representative Jigme Jungney attends a Day for Tibet event in Delhi. Officers of Tibet host Tibetan language class workshop. Join events on Tibet. On Wednesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote to Prime Minister Modi, extending birthday wishes as he turns 75. His Holiness expressed admiration for India and her extensive development and prosperity over the years. His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote to Sushila Karki, the Interim Prime Minister of Nepal, to wish her every success in fulfilling the hopes and aspirations of the people of Nepal in these challenging times. Expressing gratitude to the government of Nepal for providing facilities for the rehabilitation of Tibetan refugees since 1959, His Holiness offered prayers and good wishes. Sigyong Pempus Ring of the Central Tibetan Administration and Speaker Khembusnam Tembe of the Tibetan Parliament in Exile, on behalf of the Tibetans worldwide, also wished Prime Minister Sushila Karki the very best in meeting all the immediate challenges and in setting Nepal on the course of prosperity, while expressing a renewed hope for the Tibetan refugees in Nepal. Khembusnam Tembe, Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament in Exile, extended his congratulations to the newly elected Vice President of India, Shri C.P. Radhakrishnan. In the letter, Speaker conveyed his gratitude to the government and people of India for hosting His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan people for over 6 decades. On Friday last week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama granted audience to senior Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh leaders, Dr. Indresh Kumar and Dr. Ram Lal. The RSS leaders met with the press following the audience.
राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ के पूज्य सरसंघ चालक डॉक्टर मोहन भागवत एवं माननीय सर कार्यवाह दत्तात्रेय होसबोले ने अपनी ओर से पुष्पगुच्छ, शॉल और सद्भावनाएं भेजी कि आप स्वस्थ रहें, प्रसन्न रहें, सक्रियता में विश्व शांति के लिए कर रहे कार्यों के लिए उनके प्रति अपनी बधाइयाँ उन्होंने प्रेषित की। वो हमने परम पावन दलाई लामा जी के पास पहुंचाई।
Following the meeting, Dr. Indresh Kumar and Dr. Ram Lal visited the Tibetan Parliament in Exile and the Tibet Museum. The Cabinet of the Central Tibetan Administration also hosted a special dinner reception in their honor. Namkhe Nyingpo Rinpoche and Avikrita Vajra Rinpoche also graced the reception with their presence. The 10th session of the 17th Tibetan Parliament in Exile concluded yesterday with speakers' overall concluding remarks.
nyamja manro chi nyamba laso minyam kombe yon thobya la mise lega karishe do zo to lang gomba ye thogya de kechim chi te thongye ane sino ko shongge chim choki ta gomba lop chim mo bo jere jashin no la shide ta ane chawme be thone chi shamji gi shizo yon thobya la bezu hyo shego re den no yin aron thogye ngene yo chi te zo to la chongmen mo chi gongyi te zo tidan no thogya ane jashin shizo go thone 배기 쳐도 리용 세우데 미세 단답받도 가서 통노도 잡소리 온데가래 마음바 가서 대 말아야 쳐도 가서 미럼 데이터 냉경 그렇게 토고야데 개점을 해오지 통고야.
The session held from 10th to 18th September presented and examined reports of all the 7 departments of the Central Tibetan Administration, followed by general debate, answer and clarification from the Kashag or the Cabinet on all reports. The members of the Tibetan Parliament in exile adopted a 5-point resolution of gratitude to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The resolution extends gratitude to His Holiness's affirmation on the continuation of the institution of the Dalai Lama, rejects China's politically motivated interference in the reincarnation process, acknowledges His Holiness's unwavering dedication in leading the Tibetan people from the tender age of 16 and becoming the ambassador of global peace and harmony. The House also adopted a 7-point resolution highlighting the bravery of the Tibetans who have sacrificed their lives for the cause of Tibet, condemning China's sinicization policies, including forced boarding schools, restrictions on monasteries, and the suppression of Tibetan language and education. The resolution also demanded immediate release of all political prisoners, including the 11th Panchen Lama. It urged dialogue between Tibetan and Chinese counterparts and called for collective efforts by Tibetans in a free world to safeguard Tibet's culture, religion, and rights. The 10th session also made some legislative amendments and elected 2 additional election commissioners for the upcoming Tibetan General Election 2026. 6 United Nations special rapporteurs and working groups wrote to the Chinese government regarding Tibetan political prisoner Namgy's arbitrary detention, sentencing, and ill treatment while in prison. The experts raised significant concern on this matter and said that the case illustrates violations of international human rights law, creates a deeply suppressive environment, and discourages Tibetans inside Tibet from freely exercising their rights. Namgy was only 15, a minor, when she was arrested in Ngaba Prefecture in October 2015 from a peaceful march carrying portraits of His Holiness Dalai Lama and Kirti Rinpoche. She was later imprisoned on charge of separatist activities, was forced into hard labor, deprived of proper medical care when in prison, and remained under heavy restrictions even after release in 2018. On 15 July 2025, 5 UN Special Rapporteurs also raised grave concerns over China's interference in the reincarnation matter of His Holiness Dalai Lama and expressed concern over the enforced disappearance of the 11th Panchen Lama since 1995. The letter highlights China's policy and requirement of government approval for all reincarnations, violates international human rights law, deprives the right to religious freedom from the Tibetan people, and deviates from the authentic religious process of recognizing any reincarnations. The experts also urged China to disclose information on the location, health, and well-being of the 11th Panchen Lama. On Sunday last week, Representative Jigme Jungney of the Bureau of His Holiness Dalai Lama in Delhi attended the event titled A Day for Tibet, hosted by India-Tibet Friendship Society in collaboration with India-Tibet Coordination Office. The event was themed on Voices of Non-Violence, Mahatma Gandhi and His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama's shared legacy. The Office of Tibet in Geneva organized a 2-day workshop for Tibetan weekend school language teachers at the Swiss city of Dietigon. This training included a participation of 30 teachers, 27 from Switzerland and 3 from Australia. The trainers provided in-depth instruction to teachers on teaching methods and approaches to education that align with students' psychological development. On Sunday last week, the Bureau du Tibet in France participated in the Wulan Festival at Kang-an Pakora near Paris, where the France Coding Organizing Committee showcased the exhibition of His Holiness's 4 principal commitments and his life and legacy. The exhibition is scheduled to run for 8 days till 21st September. Last Saturday, representatives from the Office of Tibet, Brussels joined the celebration of the 65th Tibetan Democracy Day, organized by Belgium Regional Tibetan Women's Association in Antwerp. EU Advocacy Officer Tinsi Pinzo, in his address, reflected on the 65 years of evolution and achievements of the Tibetan democracy in exile. That is all for this week's edition of Tibet This Week. See you in the next one.